Thank you for checking out the channel. Thank you for checking out YouTube. I wanted to do this video to connect with you personally, as much as I can personally, to talk about something that is very painful for a lot of people. And I don't mean to say that it is without pain, but I think from my own experience that how we look at death, how we experience it, it's very personal. It's very personal. I created the Facebook page, Making Friends with Death, for a very specific reason. And it is because I learned through my own experience that you can, it doesn't always happen, but you can have an experience of someone dying who's very close to you. And you can move through it with a sense of gratitude rather than a sense of punishment. I think that many of us have been taught to believe that when someone dies, when they're close to us, I mean, we call it, you think of the words, we call it loss, we call it tragedy. And I am not in any way trying to demean or make little people's very real pain. But I do think that, as with a lot of things in our lives, a lot of the pain and the suffering that we have is to do with what we've been taught as children to believe. We've been taught that when something is taken away from us, well, it's part of the punishment. I mean, if you're a good boy or a good girl, you get rewarded. If you're bad, you get something taken away. You get a privilege taken away. You get you can't ride your bicycle. You can't use the phone. You lose your privileges. You lose money. You lose, we equate loss or something being taken away as meaning we did something bad. Now, I would say that when I was 9 years old and my father died, I did have that experience. I was confused. I didn't understand. I heard the word for the first time, orphan, all of a sudden. Before I was just a kid in a family with 4 siblings growing up, and mom and dad and everything. And now all of a sudden I'm an orphan. And all of the stigma that goes with being an orphan and not growing up without a dad, and feeling like all of our security, all of our protection, all of what made our family a family disappeared when he died. And it was not expected. I mean, he was 37 years old, dropped dead of a massive heart attack unexpectedly, no signs, no symptoms, nothing to tell anybody that he was sick or anything. So then I grew up with all of that sense of being somehow less than everyone else because I didn't have a dad. And why would God take your dad? I mean, that didn't seem like a logical thing as a child. And I don't think that I actually had that feeling myself, but I picked up on that feeling from what was going on around me, what seemed to happen. I mean, we had less money, we had more struggle, my mother was in tears a lot, worried about everything, and so forth. So that's one kind of death. And then, for a lot of people, there's that clinging to that person. I don't want to lose them. I'm not letting them go. And what I feel happens, and again, this is not to say you're wrong if you're going through this process. All I'm offering here is an opportunity to look at it in a different way. If you want to. You don't have to. It doesn't make you wrong. Everybody's got their path. And I certainly don't know yours. I only know mine. And I know the different feeling that we can have when we go through the death process, letting go of a loved one in a different way. And the things that I learned when my son died was that all of the things I had done and thought up until that time were kind of preparing me for letting him go. I'd been preparing myself spiritually, emotionally. From the time my children were born, actually, I was preparing to let them go in one way or another. Whether it was let them go into life, to live their own lives, to take responsibility for their own lives, their actions as children, I was very clear in letting them have the consequences, whether they were good or not good, from their actions. And I didn't try to hide life from them. I didn't try to own them. I knew that they were meant to live. They came through my body, but they had their own lives, their own journey, their own connection to Source, to God, to why they came, why they chose me as a parent, what kinds of experiences they wanted to have. So yes, I had regrets. Yes, I had made mistakes, lots of them. But somehow, when they were very young, I had two sons. And I knew then that I didn't own them, that they were a gift to me, that they were given to me for a certain amount of time, and that I really was just meant to enjoy the relationship, whatever it was. And I've been close to both of my sons, and I'm very grateful for that. But I also knew they weren't my property. They weren't for me to control. When they went out and were with their friends, I would say a prayer. I would send some angels to be with them, to watch over them. But I trusted that they had what it takes inside of them to know choices and to understand consequences and to make the right decision. I trusted that they could do that because they had just as much connection to the divine as I did. And I couldn't be there in every moment, so there was no point in giving them the whole list of rules of what they could and couldn't do. So when my son died, and it was horrific, all of the things that happen, the police come to your door early in the morning and tell you that, there's been a car accident, a vehicle accident, and your son is one of 3 people that were killed. First of all, I said, no, that's not possible. I knew that wasn't, because I knew he was on his way home. And then the policeman, gave me more evidence that they thought for sure it probably was him, but they weren't 100% sure. And that was what I was kind of clinging to in the moments. And that whole process was very difficult. That's what it was difficult. It was difficult to deal with the waiting for information, for communicating with all of the people involved, the emergency people, the RCMP, the other families, my family, and everyone watching me, because as the mother of a young man, of course, they're thinking I'm going to lose it completely. But I didn't. I didn't lose it. I found it. I found my voice. And it was powerful because it was incredibly eye-opening to see myself in those circumstances, in that situation, and to know I was going to be okay. And realizing that I appreciated the relationship I had with my son all his life, and knowing that I know this is very hard for some people, and it's even hard for me to share it in some ways because I know it's so different than what I used to believe. But the truth is, there are no accidents, because there's only one way off the planet. And so if you're done whatever you came to do, and there's no way I can know what his job, why he came, what he wanted to experience and explore. I mean, he could have only came to me for 5 minutes. He could have only been born and died, and it still would have served his purpose. I might not know what it was. Maybe he just came as a baby to show me some love in that moment. Maybe he came and decided on the way out that, hey, you know what? I think this life's going to be too hard. I don't know, and I don't think that we can know 100% what another person's journey is, but we can respect that. It is theirs. They're not our property, even if they are our children, even if we love them. They're not our parent. Our parents are not our property, and we're not theirs. And our lovers and our spouses, we don't belong to people like that. We don't own each other. We don't have a right to have certain people in our lives, because everybody has free will, everybody has their own journey. What I learned, the biggest gift from all of this, was to know and appreciate the time I did have with my son. And then to kind of even go back and realize I could appreciate my dad, even though I didn't have him for as long as most people had. Even 9 years. I mean, a lot of that I can't really say I had him in my life, because he was working and he was doing his other things, but I appreciate the gift that he gave me life. Maybe,